signal now for when I'm needed. But when that light hits the sky, it's not just a call. It's a warning to them.
Yes, sir. Welcome to Beyond the Bat Signal. I'm your host, Dominic Yanika. Join me as we dive into the depths of Batman's lore, dissecting the Rogues Gallery and uncovering the stories of our iconic vigilante known as the Dark Knight. Today is something I'm just going to dive right into right now. We are going to be covering Batman 158, Hush 2. Written by Jeph Loeb, and the phenomenal art by the man, the myth, the legend, Jim Lee. I mean, this is issue 1 of 6 from my understanding, and then there's going to be like a little bit of a break, and then they're going to continue with additional 6 for this Hush saga. But should we dive right into it? I mean, I'm going to be covering what happened. Spoiler alert. Like, just if you haven't read it, I highly encourage you to go get this issue of Batman Hush and just take a read. Listen, the artwork is phenomenal. The writing is phenomenal. As you can already tell, I love I want to call it issue 1 of 12, but whatever. We'll say the first issue of Hush 2. And man, does it start off with a banger, and it literally has a foot to the pedal to the metal, and it just doesn't let up. So let's start off with the cover, shall we? So I got cover, I want to say it's cover A. Has to be cover A. And let me tell you, this one was drawn by Jim Lee. They have quite a few covers. When I went to the comic store here, I live just outside of Toronto, so it's Mississauga, but if you're ever in the Toronto area, they have an unbelievable comic store, Gotham Central. Highly recommend that you go check them out. Anyway, they had a bunch of different covers, one by Loeb, one of my favorite artists, but man, Jim Lee does not disappoint. This cover has, Batman right in the front with an orange background, but like nice and subtly, they have a Hush in the background. And I just love how it's just so subtle that they put that in. And when you see it, and you can't unsee it. It's kind of like one of those, oh my God, like those images where it shows one thing, but then if you look deeper into it, then you can see another, so it can go both ways. Yeah. Anyway, so that's the cover I got. Kind of curious if you had any covers or any different covers that you may have purchased. I just got the one. But let me say that, the first page starts off so Batman-y. Jim Lee does not miss a beat when it comes to Batman. It looks so detailed, so good. And we got what looks kind of like the laughing fish, and it kind of gave me vibes of the Three Jokers, where you have Jason Fabok drawing all those like laughing fish, but Jim Lee is just, no one else is like him. And Joker's Men they're up to no good. And Batman's trying to take them down through, it looks like what they're about to dump some laughing fish into the water supply. And sure enough, there's some gas that's being released, and it kind of distracts Batman. And then all of a sudden, I guess I'll get into the artwork in just a bit, but I'll continue to talk about the story by Jeph Loeb, who just, does such a good job. And it almost looks like from the back of the truck, Joker with his classic crowbar just whacks him across the face. and sends him into next week. And obviously, Batman's trying to defend himself. And into the water he goes, where there's a bunch of poisonous prawns trying to attack Batman. And he's got like this electrical suit that has to kind of be activated and kills all the fish. But what a scene. And you have Batman just laying in the water, face down, with a helicopter over top of him. And, it almost seems like he's unconscious. And then we have Joker, who seems like, listen, I just took out the Batman. I'm happy. And all out of nowhere, there's like this giant man beast who, in all honesty, I have no idea who this is. Not sure if this is like a new character from Jeph Loeb. I really don't know. Maybe some of you that are very familiar with the comics can fill me in. But at first, like, you kind of see like this like red hand. It kind of reminds me of like Spider-Man's arm, because it was red, had lines going through it. I'm like, I know it's not Spider-Man, just give me Spider-Man vibes. Anyway, and then you see this. It looks like The Rock with long hair. He just looks like a tank. And he's got Joker lifting up and just, I don't know what happens. It looks like he like clicks something, and I don't know if it's a noise, but Joker's grabbing his ears. There's blood around like his ears, and it's like he just kind of goes on his knees, and he's just not liking what he's hearing, and it kind of knocks him out. A shoe is left behind, and let me tell you, like, the way that Jim Lee even drew Joker, and I was just going back to, because I'm like, oh, he looks kind of different from what I remember from Hush, and he does. He looks like a bit more built. Like before, he looked really scrawny. I like this little bit of transformation. But let me tell you that we pick up right where we kind of like left off from Hush, the first Hush, and man, it doesn't skip a beat. So, but we have Batman, Nightwing, and Barbara kind of at the Watchtower and trying to look where Batman is, and he's offline. Like, what the heck is happening? Is like the signal jammed, or is he offline? Like, what's happening? But and then you have Dick being, Dick, and he's just kind of joking, but it's not. Barbara's just not having it at this point. She's trying to take it seriously. And who comes to help out Batman? Someone dressed in green, and no, it's not Poison Ivy, but none other than Talia al Ghul, who Batman's just like, Talia, like, what are you doing here? And where's the Joker? He has no idea, like, where he is and why she's even there. She doesn't explain herself, but she's like, I came to visit Damien, and I have more than a passing interest in the health of his father. So obviously there's going to be more to the story. That was just like a little breadcrumb that was left for the readers, us. And yeah, so kind of curious as to what that's going to be all about. But she's got like her own little green suit here. You almost died tonight, and I cannot have that, she said. Remember the greater number of people who believe in you, the more there are that will be disappointed in you. Interesting. So then we get this scene of Joker and Hush going face to face, and Hush reveals who this mysterious guy is. His name is Silence. Okay, it kind of makes sense. There's Hush, there's Shush, and now there's Silence. So kind of like what he's doing here, and you're like, okay, like, what are you doing to Joker's mouth? It almost looks like it's something to kind of keep his mouth wide open. And sure enough, we were right. Now, there has to be more to it. Shouldn't there be? Like, this guy's a surgeon. Tommy Elliott is a surgeon. So he's a mastermind when it comes to this. But he keeps it where he puts it into Joker's mouth, and he keeps it wide open. And I don't know if it's to not hear him laugh, talk, no idea. But when he says, lower your voice, and it draws them in to your whisper. And then you have Joker kind of just, it looks like he's at where his own little circus there, and he's being tied up and sprawled on one of those little spinning wheels. Oh my God, I'm having a brain fart as to what it's called. And Hush is a pretty accurate guy and very precise. So he's got all of his like little knives that he's taking. It looks like X-Acto knives, and he spins Joker around, and he's just throwing them like he's a dartboard. And it's revealed like, I hit each artery, so you will be bleeding to death. And you can kind of just feel the pain that's just piercing Joker. And you're like, well, where is this going? Like, I'm like, oh my God, I can't even put this down. Like I said, pedal to the metal, and I just couldn't keep my eyes off this. And he's just throwing these like it's a dartboard, and you're like, okay, Batman's gonna come, right? Like, but Hush kind of reveals like, listen, Joker's going to die, and if only you had family, who will mourn for you? But we all know, like, Batman would be the one. Like, it'd be the one where it's like, this is obviously going to be a setup. And it's just, when's Batman going to come? So then we see another image where, Batman's back at the Batcave. His suit is all damaged, so he has to switch suits. So now we get the yellow oval back. Looks pretty cool. It looks like what was a more of a navy blue cowl is now black. I really dig it, and I just love the image that he has where it's just the cowl and like just the entire suit is just kind of on display, and it's all torn up and bloody and just looks so good. And then you have the Bat family tuning in being like, where the heck were you? We were just talking about you, and we thought your signal was jammed. But Batman's saying like, we've been compromised, so initiate lockdown. And sure enough, Batman has Joker's shoe on his desk, and he's like, okay, this is a signal for me. And someone tried to leave a message, and we get this incredible panel of the Batmobile. Just looks super badass. Like, I'm looking at it and admiring it. I'm like, my God, like, Jim Lee, you really know how to draw a Batmobile here. And Batman knows right away, like, he's got to go to where Joker is. And it almost looks like, it's like where the circus is, the Ferris wheel, and it's the amusement park. So Batman visits, and sure enough, the shoe, he says, was left with intent, right? And it's like, well, why? Right? It's to send a message, and Batman already knows something happened to Joker. So Batman's walking into the amusement park, and like classic Joker, kind of gives me vibes of Killing Joke, where where there's all those mirrors, but this time it's like all these purple arms that just kind of come out. It looks like Joker arms with guns, and just it's like, oh, there's an intruder. Light him up, shoot him. Batman obviously escapes and takes him each arm out with like a batarang. And then you get this incredible shot or panel of Batman breaking through glass. Looks so dope. And I have no idea how long it took Jim Lee to draw this panel, but when you see it, you'll be amazed. I've already just seen it on X and just online as to some of the panels that Jim Lee drew, and man, like, I can't wait to talk about the art. Anyway, Batman goes there, and he is surprised as to what he sees. You have Joker kind of just completely decimated and tied up, and Hush is reminding Batman of all the terrible things that Joker did to him. And it goes way back to the Killing Joke, which I love. It just kind of brings back so many memories, so much history as to what Joker did. And there's only one person that knows Bruce Wayne and Batman so well, and it's like, just to remind him, like, are you gonna break your one rule? And you have Jim Gordon all tied up, and you have him where it's like, he's naked and he's exposed to Barbara Gordon when she was shot, and there was pictures of her all around. Or the one where Robin is being crowbarred to the face and eventually dies, and that obviously stung back Batman. And it's just, you can tell that Batman's really struggling to hear all this and just have these memories be brought back to life. And just, I don't know, you can just see it the way Jim Lee draws. Like, Batman's just on his knees and just quenching his fists, like, out of anger. But I love how Jeph Loeb kind of reminds the reader about all the pain that he as in Joker inflicted on Batman, and Joker's just kind of reminiscing about how long he's tolerated Joker to be around. It's like, listen, are you going to break your one rule? Let this guy just die? And here's a little reminder. Or are you going to save this guy who did all these terrible things to the people closest to you as he lies there to die? And you get a good image, a panel of Joker in the last page where his eyes are black and blue. He's smiling. Almost looks like he has like a broken jaw. But Batman knows exactly who this is. And it's none other than his world-renowned surgeon, Tommy Elliott, that he knows. And Batman, through a thinking bubble, is just like, Hush has returned. And Batman's just like, oh, here we go. Now, this was something else. They had, in my opinion, as a first chapter, it was chapter 1. So here it is. It's called chapter 1. Let me get to the page here. The Pawn. And very fitting. I feel like this was just a fast-paced story, action-packed, definitely memorable. I mean, like, listen, this is something I'm going to go back on. And what stood out? I mean, the writing. Jeph Loeb did an excellent job for chapter 1, pretty much picking up where we left off. Now, and then we'll talk about the art. So the art, Jim Lee does not miss a beat. Like, the fact that we get to have Jim Lee and Jeph Loeb pair up, but Jim Lee draw 6 issues for the next 6 months, take a break, and then we have an additional 6, is God's gift, okay, that we get to enjoy. It's like, it just brings back, like, I remember I never partook in, I never did. I was never able to be part of when Hush was released. I was learning about it. I heard how big it was once it was coming out, but I wasn't buying monthly comics then. I just wasn't. But I remember how big it was and how big of an event. And you see online 400,000 pre-order copies were sold. Like, and with that dynamic duo, and no doubt Jim Lee's, like, if Jim Lee hasn't cemented himself as the Batman artist, I mean, just look through this issue. There are so many panels as to, like, that you could choose from as, like, these are iconic. And it's hard to choose because, like, the first one I obviously think of is Batman breaking through this glass. And I'm just like, this looks out of this world nuts. I know Jim Lee's known for drawing the treads on the shoes, and, like, I think that's pretty cool. But, like, even, like, just nailing Batman right off the bat in the first page, like, he just knocks it out of the park. But, like, there are so many good moments in this first issue. What do I give it? This is an A. Easy. This is a must pick up for any Batman fan. I love this issue. I can't wait for issue 2. I pray to God that there's no delays. I'm sure there won't be. But, and yeah, like, I'm curious what fans thought. From what I'm reading online, I read Ryan Lauer's review on Batman on Film, and I'm pretty sure he was a big fan of it. Tune in, end of the month. I know him and Peter Arvera are going to be talking about this and a bunch of other monthly issues in the monthly recap. But my thoughts, this was, and like, just remember, like, I'm a casual Batman comic reader. I've gotten more and more into it. And this is something that just hooked me right off the bat. The art, the writing, and, you're just immediately just drawn in. And there's, you get Nightwing, you get Batgirl, you get Batman, and like how he draws Batman is so good. You get a different bat suit, and you get Joker and Hush. I mean, like, talk about, two of Batman's, one of the greatest adversaries. Like, is Hush an A-list villain right now? No. Could he be? Yeah, why not? I mean, if you go listen to episode 217, I think, on the Batman Book Club, Ryan Lauer and we talk about Heart of Hush and what Hush does to really just, I guess, really just lure Batman in like the depths that he's willing to go in order to hurt Batman right at the heart, pun intended. And what he does is just incredible. Paul Dini, I love you, but man, like, the way you wrote him, like, Hush is a sick man, and sure enough, he wants to see Bruce Wayne suffer, Batman suffer, and Joker suffer. He doesn't even care about Joker. Now, I was wondering, and I'm not sure if many of you are wondering, how does this pick up after the prologue of Hush? So if you're not sure, in 2022, Jim Lee and Jeph Loeb had like a little prologue that was going to be, and then it ended with to be continued. And Batman's looking for Hush. He goes underwater, goes and finds this like little submarine, not submarine, but like a boat, where you can tell that Hush took out the bullets and he's escaped. But then Joker finds him. So how does this lead off into Hush 2? I'm not sure. Someone much smarter than me, Ryan and Pete, will probably know this. So feel free to explain it. But yeah, I don't know. Like, if I were to pick a favorite part, I mean, it gotta be just Hush throwing X-Acto knives at Joker and just putting this thing in his mouth, and you're like, what are you doing? Like, that's got to be my favorite part. And when it comes to panel, that is a tough one. There are so many. Like, even having where you're at the Watchtower, you have Barbara doing her thing, basically putting in the work, while Dick's just doing a handstand in the Watchtower, hacking around, and yeah. Like, this is just wild. So, go to your local comic shop. Pick this issue up. You should have picked this up yesterday. I'm not even joking. You're going to love it. And if you don't, feel free to email me. Tell me your thoughts. I am open. And if you want to be a guest on, let me throw this out. Open invitation. If you want to talk about this book, open invitation. Email me, beyondthebatsignal@gmail.com, or shoot me a message on X/Twitter @BeyondBatSignal. Let me know. We'll discuss this. I am all for talking about this comic. Coming up next, so what's to be expected? So I'm going to be covering all of Hush and the last Halloween, which that episode will probably come out early next week. This one, as of today, recording is March 27th, 2025. So it'll probably be released on the 28th. And yeah, we're going to be doing the last Halloween. And, that's near the end we're on the back half of the last Halloween. So, man, I'm excited. This is so many good comic books. Like, oh my God. And like, I didn't even mention, but Jeph Loeb has 2 issues coming out at the same day, at the same time, with the last Halloween and Hush. Like, and it's just 2 blockbusters back to back. And people are going to spend the money. Anyway, listen, that is going to be it for this podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Where can you reach me? you can shoot me an email at beyondthebatsignal@gmail.com. X/Twitter is at beyondbatsignal. And rate and review the show, please. I encourage you, as it helps really spread the word and goes a long, long way. And be very grateful. And be honest, please. Be honest. Whatever stars you think, it's all constructive. Or if you really like it, give it a 5 stars, as it helps spread the word. Now, with that being said, this is Beyond the Bat Signal. My name is Dominic, and we are signing off.